Hello everyone, thank you for clicking and welcome to the channel. Today we are going to be making a basic mini skirt. This is part of the Crochet Basics series. If you are following me or if you're subscribed, you may have seen that I started a series where I just make basic pieces with simple stitches straight to the point and try to keep the videos as quick as possible. So yeah, today we're just making a basic mini skirt. The items we're going to use for this tutorial are the Karen Simply Soft yarn in the color Pagoda, a 4.5mm hook, and a pair of scissors. Now, before we get started with this tutorial, I'd like to ask everyone to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share with someone you think would enjoy it, and comment before you leave. So here we go. And I almost forgot, you will also need measuring tape if you're making a different size than me. I'm going to be making a size 2X. I'm also going to provide suggested resizing, but depending on the length that you decide to make this, the resizing will vary. And also when you decide on the length that you want your skirt, you'll need a measuring tape to measure from top to bottom. But for the waistband, I will be giving you the size based on just the standard sizing guide, but it would definitely, for you to get the perfect fit, it would help you to take the measurements of your waist and your hips. Okay, so we're going to start off with our slip knot. And we're going to chain 7. Then we're going to yarn over and insert our hook into the 3rd chain from our hook to place a half double crochet. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 3. And then we're going to place half double crochets in the next 4 stitches. 1 half double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. Okay, so now we're going to chain 2 and turn, and then we're going to place a half double crochet into the back loop only, not through both loops, not through both of them, just the back loop. Okay, so insert into the back loop only and place a half double crochet. Then we're going to continue with back loop only half double crochets in the next 4 stitches going down, back loop only, okay. All right, so now we're going to chain 2, turn, and we're going to do the same thing. Back loop only, half double crochets in each stitch. All right, so you're going to continue that, placing half double crochets in the back loop only. So like I said, I'm making a size 2X, so I did a total of 44 rows. You can also use the suggested sizing that I provide based on a standard sizing guide. If you're using your own measurements and not using the standard measurements that I'm providing, what you're going to want to do is take your waist measurement and your hip measurement, add those two numbers together, and then you're going to divide that by 2. And then whatever number you get, you're going to divide that by 2. So you're going to cut that number in half, and then that is the number that you'll want to stretch, be able to stretch your band to, this front part of the band. So for us, the number is 24. Okay. So we want to be able to stretch this band to 24. So if you see right here, it's about 21. This band is about 21 inches before we stretch it. But when we stretch it, it stretches to 24. Now, if I stretched it out a lot, it would stretch much further. But we don't want to stretch it too much because we still want it to be comfortable. So we want to be able to stretch this, you know, like enough. I don't really know how to explain that, but just don't overstretch it. Don't crochet until, you know, don't make it too small to the point where you can overstretch it to that measurement, because then it'll be too tight for you. So now we're going to yarn over and chain 1. I don't know why it just skipped my mind what I was doing. Okay, so we're chaining 1 there, and then we're going to place a single crochet, 2 single crochets into the end of each row. So right now I have 44 rows, and I'm placing 2 single crochets in the end of each row. Okay. Okay, so we have placed single crochets at the end of each row, and now we're going to chain 2 and turn, and then we're going to place a double crochet. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and we're going to place double crochets in each of those single crochets we made. Okay, 1 double crochet in each stitch down. All right, so I have completed my row of double crochets, and I'm going to chain 2 and turn. Now for this row, we're going to place increases in the first and the last stitch of this row. So yarn over, and we're going to place 2 double crochets into the first stitch. In the same stitch, 2 double crochets. And then you're going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch down until you get to the last stitch of this row. Okay? So now we're at the last stitch of this row, and we are going to place 2 double crochets into this last stitch. 1, 2. Okay? So that was our increase row. You can see it increasing already. And now you will repeat this for the next 2 rows. So you're going to do the same thing. So just repeat it 1 time. 1 row of double crochet and 1 row of increase. So 1 row of regular double crochets, and then 1 row of 2 double crochets in the first stitch and 2 double crochets in the last stitch. So I will meet you after you complete your next 2 rows. So now we have our first 4 rows, after our band of course, we have 4 rows here. 1 row of double crochet, 1 row of increase, 1 row of double crochet, and 1 row of increase. So next you're going to chain 2 and turn, and then we're just going to place double crochets, and we are going to do that for the next 11 rows, including this row. So after your alternating increase rows, so after these 4 rows, you're going to place 11 rows of double crochets. You're not doing any increasing or any decreasing. I just wanted to mention that. So 11 rows of double crochets, no increase, no decrease. Okay, so now we have our 11 rows done. And I want to just go over where we are so far. If you're not going to follow what I'm doing and you're using your own measurements, I just want to explain where we are with that. So the 4 increase rows, we increased from our waist, or our average that we had, we increased to our hip measurement with that. So that increase gave us half of our hip measurement. And then these 11 rows, these are just rows that are going down to halfway to where I want my skirt, the length I want my skirt. So I wanted my skirt to be 17 inches. So here we are at 8.5 with the length that we have, including our waistband. So I went to halfway. Now, if you're going to make this skirt longer than mini, then don't go to halfway. I would just recommend going to about this length, or just where you feel like you've covered enough of your hips. So I did that, and that's where we are right now. So you may want to decide before you begin how many inches you plan to make this. So now we have this area. This should fit around our hips. So now we're going to start decreasing so that we have a little bit of a tighter fit around our legs. We're not going to decrease too much. We're going to start off by, and this stitch marker, y'all don't need a stitch marker. This was just to tell me as I counted my rows where I was at. So don't get distracted by there being a stitch marker there. All right, so now we're going to chain 2 and turn, and then we are going to create a decrease. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that first stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then we're going to insert our hook. We're not going to pull through all 3 or finish our double crochet. We're going to immediately insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so that's how we're going to create our decreases. If you're more comfortable, you could skip a stitch as well. I know some people do their decreases that way. But that's how I create my decreases. And so now we're going to just continue and place 1 double crochet in each stitch until we get to the last 2 stitches of this row, where we will create another decrease. Okay, so we're at the last 2 stitches of the row, and we're going to do the same thing to decrease. And I'm just going to show you guys one more time. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so now we have a decrease at the beginning of the row. This is the beginning of the row and at the end of this row. And now we're going to chain 2 and turn. In the same way we increase, we're now decreasing, except this time we're going to need 4 decreasing rows, but we're going to do it in the same pattern of alternating. So like with our increases, we did a regular row of double crochet, increase row, regular row, increase row. We're going to do decrease row, regular row, decrease row, regular row, decrease row, regular row, decrease row. So you need a total of 4 decreasing rows and alternating them. So for the next 7 rows, that's what you're doing. So in this next row, you're just going to place double crochets in each stitch. Then you're going to decrease like we just did, and so on for the next 7 rows until you have a total of 4 decrease rows. So I will meet you after we have completed that. All right, so now we have completed our 7 rows of alternating decreases. So it was decrease row, no decrease, decrease row, no decrease, decrease row, no decrease, decrease row. And next, we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. And we're going to finish this piece off by doing 10 rows of double crochets, just regular double crochets for the next 10 rows. Okay, so including this row that we're doing right now. So when you are done with these 10 rows, you can meet me back here. Okay, so now I have completed, all right, so I've completed my 10th row of double crochets. So let me just zoom out a little so that you guys can see the pattern. Okay, so this is the panel. And so after you've completed this, you're going to need another one. So you're going to need 2 of these panels. So this is what the other panel looks like. And after this is seamed together, you will have your skirt. So I'll show you how to seam it together now, but I just wanted to show you what both of your panels would look like. But basically, we're just going to start from here. So after you finish both pieces, so here I'm just going to, since this was my second panel, I'm just going to continue from where I was. I'm not going to detach my yarn, and I'm just going to pull it through and begin seaming up the sides. I'm just going to put my hook through this side, and I'm going to pull this through here, and I'm going to begin placing single crochets to seam up my sides. You could also do slip stitches if you prefer. So yeah, we're just going to continue doing this up the sides, and then we'll be done. So do this on both sides, and then we will discuss the finished product. Okay, so we've completed seaming up both sides. We have our seam here and our seam here, and our completed skirt. Now what you could do if you want, you could continue from where, you could continue from where you seamed, and you could place single crochets around the top of your band. I'm not going to do that because I just don't feel like it's necessary. I feel like it looks fine, but if you want it to look like a really clean edge, you could clean up your band. But I'm just going to fasten off here. And then next, I'm going to turn it inside out. Well, I'm sorry, I always say inside out, but I'm turning it right side out. Okay. All right, and so now I have my skirt, and I just need to create a string. All right, so now we have our chain of 300 or whatever you need to make your chain, because you may not need to make a chain of 300. You may need a shorter one or you may need a longer one. So yeah. So now I'm just going to find where I think the middle is. And I'm not going to start placing my chain directly in the middle because that's where we're going to tie. So I think this is the middle here. So I'm going to put my chain through this stitch. And then pull it through. And continue that all the way around until I pull this end back through over here. Okay? Okay, so here we are. We have completed our skirt, and you would just tie it up here in the front. There you go. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe before you leave. And if you want to stay tuned, there will be a bonus clip at the end of this video showing how you can turn this skirt into a dress by using a previous tutorial of mine, the shrug tutorial. And yeah, so you can just stick around a little longer to see that. But if you're going, thank you for watching. Bye. All right, so here we are. We're going to take this mini skirt and we are going to turn it into a dress. So what you'll need to do is watch the shrug tutorial for this shrug here that ties in the front. And you'll need to make one of these. And we're just going to simply attach this to the skirt. Okay, so here we go. We are going to attach the shrug top to the skirt. Now this wasn't originally planned, so we don't have an even amount of stitches to attach. So we're gonna have to do some figuring out with that. So I have 200 stitches at the bottom of my top, and well, if you didn't already go across the top of the edges of the skirt, I would suggest doing that before you start attaching. I did go ahead and add single crochets across the top of my band here. So yeah, I have 200 stitches at the bottom of my top and 88 stitches at the top of my band here. So we're going to have to, as we attach, we're going to have to skip some stitches. But you could definitely do this intentionally and try to get your stitch count a little bit closer if you wanted to. But hold on, I'm just straightening this out. But like I said, I didn't do this intentionally. I just decided at the last minute that I wanted to join these and kind of see how it would work. I just had the idea that this would be cute to just add these two things together and it would be a cute little dress. So let's see. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my top and line the back. Well, we need to turn these inside out. Oops, that was my water bottle. We need to turn these inside out. Both pieces, the skirt and the top. So now I need to have the back of the skirt lined up with the back of the top. So here's the front where I have my tie at. And as you can see, well, maybe you can't even see, but I still haven't even weaved in the ends yet of my skirt. Because it's just for me, so I just usually stuff them in. But here we go. So now I'm lining up the middle of my top to the middle of my skirt. I'm not going to count any stitches. I'm just going to place a stitch marker where I feel that it's the middle. So that'll be about here is where I'm placing my stitch marker to join these two pieces together. I think I knocked some off the table. Give me a second. I did. I just picked them up. Okay, so I'm going to place a stitch marker here. You guys, make sure you guys can see. Line it up again with the middle. Just keep in mind, you guys, this is kind of just like I'm showing you how I did it to join these two pieces together. Keep in mind, like, it wasn't something that I had planned from the beginning, so I'm just showing you guys how to add them together, but you can totally plan it out better than what I did. But this is why I just kind of made it a bonus clip at the end of this instead of making a totally new video, because, you know, I just didn't feel like it was planned out enough. But I definitely wanted to let you guys know how I did it in case anybody was interested in doing it as well. All right, and so now I'm going to put my middle pieces in the middle. And I'm going to measure on each side of the middle of my waistband and the middle of my top. I'm going to measure 7 inches on both sides, starting from where the tie, the string for the tie begins. So here, I'm measuring 7 inches to here. And I just had my stitch marker, here it is. And I'm going to place my stitch marker right there, joining these to the top and the bottom. Then I'm just going to use one more stitch marker and do the same thing on this side. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start attaching the two pieces. So I'm going to go into the stitches where I placed the stitch marker. I'm going to put my hook in there before I remove it, just so that I'm in the right stitch. Then I'm going to remove it. And I'm going to pull my yarn through. And chain 1. And then I'm going to place a single crochet in that same stitch, going into stitches, the stitch in my band and in the bottom of my top. And then I'm going to continue that around, going through both layers. All right, so I almost forgot. We have more stitches in our top than we have in the bottom. So we need to make sure that we are skipping a stitch on our top. So I'm going to skip the next stitch on our top, and I'm going to go through here, the next stitch on the band, the bottom of my band, and then I'm going to skip the next stitch on my top and go into the next stitch and create a single crochet. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing that. So I'm not skipping a stitch on the band of my skirt, but I'm going to skip a stitch on the top, on the bottom of my top, and go into the next stitch and create a single crochet. Okay, so go into the next stitch on my skirt and skip the next stitch on my top and go through into that next stitch and create a single crochet. Okay, so here's an update. I'm halfway to my stitch marker in the back, and I realized that the stitches are kind of starting to even out. I don't have exactly the same amount of stitches that I have on the top that I have on the bottom, and I'm going to just keep going, but I'm not going to skip anymore. So I'm going to stop skipping those stitches, and then when I get to the halfway point to my other stitch marker, which is in the front, so when I get to this side of the skirt, so where my other seam is, I guess you could say, when I get to this side, sorry, so you can see, is when I'll start skipping again. I'll start skipping the stitches there. So a better way to do this than skipping stitches all the way around, I've realized, is to skip stitches until you get to the halfway point, until you get almost to, not almost to, halfway to your stitch marker in the back, and then stop at that point, like where I am now, halfway to my stitch marker in the back, and then begin just placing it in each stitch in the bottom. I'll show you what I mean. So instead of skipping a stitch, I'm just going to go from one stitch to the next side. Okay, I'm not skipping anymore. I'm just going from one stitch to the other stitch, and there we go. And also, like I told you guys, this also kind of depends on the difference in sizing. So the difference in the sizing of your top and the sizing of your skirt. But this is what you can do if you have more stitches in the top than the bottom. You'll want to skip some stitches so that you can join these. But then you're going to have to, you may get to a point where skipping them, you start to even out on the stitches. So that's where we are now. So I'm going to continue this past my stitch marker, I'm just going to continue stitching, not skipping any stitches until I get closer to the halfway point about here to my other stitch marker. Okay, you could even put a stitch marker there. So I'll take a stitch marker and I'll put a stitch marker where I feel like it's halfway to the other side. And that's the point where I'm going to start skipping again. I kind of wish I had done this, like had this planned out from the beginning so that it would be a better, you know, like a more suitable, more proper tutorial, but I didn't. So yeah, maybe in the future I will do like an updated version and do an actual dress like this. But for now, here's this bonus clip that's kind of all over the place, but I hope that it's helpful in showing you how you can create a full dress out of these two pieces. Okay, you guys, so here is another update. Well, we're finishing off now. But so I went around, and like I said, when I got to the halfway point before this stitch marker, I started skipping again. So now we're back. We're almost to the stitch marker, and we have an even amount of stitches. So now I'm not going to skip anymore since there's an even amount of stitches, and I'm just going to finish off these last 5 stitches going through both sides and not skipping any. See, you guys, this is why this is just a bonus clip because it wasn't planned out at all. It's just the technique I used to join these two pieces. Okay, so don't judge this clip. It's just a bonus clip. All right, so these last, I think it was 4 or 5. So I think I just did 3, and I'm gonna do 2 more, and then we will be done joining these two pieces together. So I'm going to, this is my opening. Where are we at? Oh, this is my opening here. Here we go. Sorry, it's all twisted up. But here is my opening. And I'm going to fasten this off, but I just wanted to show you guys that this was where I was ending. Okay, so I'm going to fasten this off. So that's that, and then turn it inside out, outside, wait, inside out, outside in. No, okay, no, we're turning it inside out. No, we're turning it right side out. Oh my God. I always say the wrong thing. Okay, so now we turned it outside in, and it's so cute. I love it. I'm going to go try it on. Okay, I really like the way this turned out. It's so cute, and I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial, and I hope that you guys are able to turn yours into a dress if you would like. You don't have to, but I just think it's really cute to be able to do that. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Bye.